Happy New Year, man. The Mavericks are back. They won. They beat the Kings. They got revenge. You're going to have a short pod from me today as I'm recording New Year's Eve. But we're going to talk about the Mavericks win over the Kings, some Brunson and KP numbers, and just celebrate the new year together. Coming up next.
Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Oh, welcome. You are Locked On the Dallas Mavericks. This is one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris, contributor at Mavs.com. And Happy New Year. You guys, I'm recording this. I guess we got a couple hours left of 2021. My wife is in the other room. We're about to watch the ball drop, but I say, hey, but wait, I need to do a podcast about the Mavs because you know what? We made a commitment. This is what commitments look like. Of a post-game pod after every post-game. Shout out to Kirk. Kirk shot me a DM. He's like, bro, I know you're solo tonight. How can I help? And it's like, we bonded over toddlers. Yes, toddlers having fun. New Year's Eve, my toddlers are kind of coughing a little bit. So it's like, you know what? We're staying home. We can't do anything. But here we are. Mavericks get revenge on the Kings, 112-96. And honestly, it wasn't even that close, in the second half after the Mavericks pulled away. But this is going to be a shorter pod. We're going to have one ad break kind of in the middle. But hopefully I can get this thing done under 20 minutes, and then I can get out of here and celebrate New Year's Eve with my wife. But little celebration here at the top. Since it's New Year's Day, I shot out a tweet last night, kind of reminiscing. I saw some, people looking back on the year, like we all do. We always, a lot of us look back on the year on New Year's Eve and maybe New Year's Day, and just look at the past year and how crazy it's been and everything that's flown by. And just, I don't want to go down the whole route of personal life here, but if we just look at our podcast, man, we've been doing this now 5 years. I wish Nick was here to kind of look over this, and he'll be back at the first of next week. We might do it again, but we started this thing 5 years. It started taking over this thing 5 years ago, and I just would have never imagined how much, how many of you guys have been dedicated to listening to this, sharing the word. Us launching the YouTube channel this year up in April. That I was kind of skeptical about it at first, and I was like asking Nick all these questions. Nick was like, no, and he was, I'm like, man, is this going to take away from the podcast listens and all this stuff, and a little insider baseball here, but it didn't, man. It just grew the show even more, and I just can't thank you guys enough. I know Nick feels the same way. We were texting about it today of just how crazy we got close to 4 million downloads and views this year combined, which is just wild for us. Yeah, and just almost 9,000 subs on YouTube. If our goal was to hit 9,000 subs by the end of the year. I remember in April when we first launched it, I remember shooting Nick a text saying, hey, how quick do you think we can hit 1,000? Is that even possible? And now we're almost at 9 at the end of the year, and that's because of you guys. We're like 30 away from 9,000. So if you're listening to this on your podcast feed, subscribe. We really want to hit 9,000 really soon, but I just want to get that out of the way and say, man, thank you so much. You guys have been supporting us for so long. Some of you guys have DM'd us and said, hey, I've been following you since before you even had kids. And literally I have in the span since we've started this podcast, my wife and I, we've moved, we've got our new house, we've settled even more down in Dallas. We have 2 kids now, a dog. Like I didn't have any of that when we first started this pod. And Nick has, moved across country, now back. And it's wild. A lot of you guys have been on that ride with us. And it feels like I know a lot of you guys, even though I don't. And that's the coolest thing I think about podcasting and doing something daily, is just being able to kind of know people and just chime in here and there. So anyway, a lot of you probably didn't care any bit of that, but I've been kind of looking back on the pod and Mavs coverage. Thanks personally for reading some of my writing. My writing has slowed down a lot over the past few months with kids and moving and everything, but I'm working on a story now. So thank you. Love you guys. Love Mavs fans. And I can't wait for next week to celebrate Dirk's retirement and everything. And we'll have you all set and ready for the pod. Okay, let's talk about this game. Little housekeeping up front. No Isaiah Thomas in this game as he went into health and safety protocols. Super bummer. I mean, literally, it's like Trey Burke went in protocols, and they got Brandon Knight who went in protocols. Then they got Isaiah Thomas who went in protocols, and now, bam, Now Isaiah Thomas after one game. So it's just insane to think about all the other guys are still out due to protocols. Frank Ntilikina was out of this game with a thigh injury. And Theo Pinson, Marquise Chris signed to another 10-day contract for both of them. So they'll be around for at least another 10 days. And then Reggie Bullock was back, and boy, was Reggie Bullock back. What about Reggie? How cool is this for Reggie? Reggie in his I wrote down at halftime, I was like, is this the best? I think it's the best half of basketball Reggie has played in Dallas. He finished the game with 16 points. He was 3 of 5 from 3, 5 of 8 from the field. He was a plus 17 in this game. I thought he played good defense. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists. This is what they need out of Reggie Bullock. Make it $10 million a year to be a 3-and-D guy. We need him to play the defense and to also hit the three. But he also did a few things off the dribble tonight too. Pump fake, got to the basket. And just hats off to him, man. I really like this guy. And you guys know this, Carolina guy, Steele. And it was funny because I asked him a question post game for this other story I'm working on, and I got a text from one of the people in PR saying, "Of course you would ask Reggie Bullock a question." Surprised it wasn't about UNC, and I had fun with it. Maybe one day we can talk about North Carolina basketball, Reggie and myself. But first quarter, they were down 39-34. They were down by 10 points almost at one point in the first quarter. The Mavericks were. They were down 39-29. Literally no defense was being played in the first quarter. That never changed for either team. I'm like, man, this is going to be a track meet. Some people have already mailed this in to get to New Year's Eve tonight. But what a turnaround, though, for the Mavs. In the second quarter, the Mavs won the second quarter 28-17. And they went into the half 62-56. Reggie Bullock had a great half. The passing was amazing in that second quarter specifically, but even into the second half too. And I can't help to, I want to say this for the second, a little second segment here of, I can't help to just wonder about the Halliburton thing. He's so dang good. He's such a good young player. If I'm Sacramento, I really am entertaining, like, what does the market look like for De'Aaron Fox because I'll have Halliburton? Like, there's no way they just continue just churning out this roster, right? And I feel like if they do shake up something, what is De'Aaron Fox's value across the league? You have Halliburton. Davion Mitchell is such a good defender. But anyway, too many times tonight I turned my head. I'm like, dang it, man, Halliburton's so dang good. They go in the second half in that third quarter. What about that third quarter? A 22-2 run. The Kings were stuck on, are you ready for it? 69. Everyone just said nice in your cars and watch on YouTube. They were stuck on 69 forever. It felt like an eternity. Like, I literally went into the kitchen, fixed myself something to eat, came back, still taking notes on my phone, asked the kid not to cough in my face, and like, hey, can you go play with your toy train set that I spent, I don't know, forever putting together for Christmas. And I got to watch, these Mavericks play basketball right now. Great parenting. But they just were stuck on 69 forever. And I think it's one that, yes, they were missing shots. Two, the Mavericks defense was pretty dang good in this game too. So it's kind of like both and for the reason for that, but that was the run. I mean, I'm not sharing groundbreaking news here. Like, that was the run that changed the whole game. Mavericks went up basically about 20 in that run. Kings made a few runs here and there, try to cut it. Thought it was going to get a little spicy a little bit, but then honestly, Jalen Brunson kind of did his thing. And man, Reggie Bullock was asked after the game about just the passing and everything. I mean, because what did they finish tonight with? They finished tonight with 30 assists in the game. I tweeted about the passing at one point. I made different notes about the passing, and it was just like, man, I love how they're moving the ball. This has been one of the biggest things of, Jason Kidd even talked about a post game again about how much they like moving the ball, how they're not over dribbling. How many times does KP catch it in the post and then he's, making a dribble move, making a move. He's not forcing it. He's turning around, hitting the open man. They're swinging it around. And you can't help to just love watching that style of basketball. And they did it again tonight. But Reggie asked about it after, he was asked about just kind of taking the style of play and moving forward with it. And he kind of credited to the new guys. And he's like, hey, I literally wrote it down and said, nobody's got nothing to lose. And it's like, we kind of talked about a few pods ago about how refreshing it's been having all the hardship guys, and they throw those guys in, and these guys are literally fighting for their lives, right? Like they want to stick in the league. This is someone that might be their last chance to stick in the league, and they're just giving it everything they have. And you see that on the court. So Reggie was talking about how, everybody's just doing whatever they can to win a basketball game. And that's what was happening, man. And it was so much fun. What a different game, this game to the other game. Shout out to the sniper. Just want to shout him out. Metu hit 2 threes in this game, increases that average. Somebody tweeted at me after, a decent amount of you tweeted at me after that first Kings game, and told me that last shot, this guy said that Metu, it was 89% that shot was going to go in from Metu in that 3 in the corner after that first Kings game. You're full of crap. So I don't know where you got that, and you can shoot me a link to that stat. Maybe I don't know how to use Basketball Reference or Second Spectrum, or I missed that on Synergy or something. But anyway, fun game. Fun game from the Mavs, and we're going to take one quick break, and then we'll be right back, and I'm going to throw out some stats to you guys. All right, I'm back. So I shout out this tweet after the game because Jalen Brunson is having such an incredible season so far, and they threw this up in the broadcast, and he started 16 games this season so far. Brunson has. So this is a pretty crazy thing about, because he's played in 35 games, I think 35. 18 games he's came off the bench, 16 games he started. So he's almost about even as far as start, and this is therefore might disqualify him for the sixth man of the year. But so I just looked it up. I was like, all right, they showed it on the screen. He's like, he's averaged 21 points. He's averaged 7 assists and 4 rebounds in the 16 games that he has started this season for the Mavs. So I was like, you know what? I wonder how many people in the league are averaging that. Like, if obviously the tie-in here is, what if Jalen was a starter all season long? Now, I get it. Luka's been out. Some of these averages are definitely affected by Luka being out, but still, it's like, it kind of, if you want to play the game of what would Jalen Brunson look like as a full-time starter on another team, this is something you could at least tie it to. And it's not, 1 + 1 = 2, but at least gives you some context to it. So I went to our trusty friend Stathead on Basketball Reference, and I put in those numbers. 21 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Guess how many players are averaging at least that this season? 4 players. One of them is his teammate, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, James Harden, Damian Lillard. Those are the only 4 players in the league that are averaging at least 21 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds. Let's go. So, once again, what you want to read from that, it's up to you. I just know that as Jalen Brunson has been a starter for the Mavericks, he's played dang good basketball. And however the Mavericks feel about that, we have talked about this numerous times over the past few weeks. Nick and myself have talked about that. I talked about it with Jake Kemp earlier this week. Go listen to our pod with Tim Cato yesterday about Jalen Brunson's future. It's just such a unique situation, what could happen this summer. But I'm just really curious on what the Mavericks feel. Do the Mavericks look at this and watch this stretch of games and say, look how good he's been as a starter. Look how good he's been this season. We think he can be the piece next to Luka as a starter moving forward. Or does another team in the league look at this and say, that's our starting point guard, we're going to go after him, whether it's the deadline, whether it's the summer? I don't know. And I'm really curious on how the Mavericks view him moving forward as an asset. Next one I want to throw out is Kristaps Porzingis. He went into tonight averaging 7.9 rebounds a game. He finished tonight averaging. He logged 9 rebounds tonight. So that took him over 8 rebounds a game this season. So he's averaging just over 20 points a game. He's averaging right at 8 rebounds a game. And he's averaging actually 1.6 blocks a game. So let's just put it at 1. So same game with Jalen Brunson here. Let's just players in the league through Stathead that are averaging 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 block a game. At least those qualifiers. There's 4 players that are averaging that this season. Giannis, Towns, Embiid, Anthony Davis. Now there's a 5th player in that group, and that's Kristaps Porzingis. Goes to show you Porzingis playing good basketball. I know the shooting numbers, the 3-point numbers, they're not there right now. 2 of 4, tonight, 50% from the field. I get all of that about how you can get better as a 3-point shooter, but he's playing pretty dang good basketball. and I'm happy for him. He looks like he's having fun out there. There was a time tonight, he pointed at the bench where he did a little notion with his head, and he was more animated than normal. It looks like he's having a blast out there playing basketball, and I'm excited for him. It's good for the Mavericks. Big time win tonight. Now we'll see what happens, man. I think all of us, I think you would be hard pressed to find a media person, a fan, or whatever that's not at least curious on what this team, how they're playing right now, looks like with Luka and Tim and Maxi and all the other guys, mixed into that. Like I am so curious on what sticks, what changes, how the roster shakes out. We got to see what happens in the trade market over the coming weeks. So we'll see. It's exciting. It was a good game. Good game for the Mavs, at least. Alvin Gentry had an incredible post-game quote about going home and drinking. And I don't think he was talking about drinking milk, which I like to drink milk sometimes on this pod. And you guys notice that. So you all will tweet at me or you'll put it in the YouTube comments. So greatly, greatly appreciate that. But once again, thank you so much for listening to this pod this year. 2022 will be a fun one. We kick that off. First pod of the new year, Sunday night after they play OKC on Sunday night. They play the Denver Nuggets on Monday. And then coming up on next Wednesday, we have Dirk Nowitzki's night. Now, Tuesday night's pod will be a little fun too, because Tuesday they're actually having a press conference with Dirk at the American Airlines Center just for media. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of incredible quotes from that. It's going to be memory lane, basically week for the Mavs, at least those, handful of days there as the Warriors come into town. So you're going to have at least 2 to 3 days of Dirk content that we'll be able to dust off all of our Dirk fandom. And I'll probably put some more Dirk stuff on my shelves behind me, and we'll have fun with it. I freaking love Dirk Nowitzki like we all do. And we'll see how that stuff unfolds on Tuesday and Wednesday and probably into Thursday a little bit. But have a happy New Year. A lot of you guys listen to this on New Year's Day. Hopefully last night went well for you guys. As always, you guys can always hit us up in our DMs. You ever need anybody to talk to, going through stuff. Maybe New Year's was a tough time for you, and you have some stuff going on. Maybe you're in quarantine right now. Maybe you're walking through a valley type of season, and you're like, man, life sucks as a start of New Year. And I just want to say there are people out there. We love you. And if you want to hit me up, you need somebody to talk to, shoot me a DM, and maybe we can chat about entering this new year. But peace out. Boom.